Welcome to the Anarchy, Arachnid, Spider thing, what do you call it, season. There's cool spider people. There's a lot of them actually, and they're all releasing right now in this first week of November 2025 in Marvel Snap. This is Good or Garbage, where we take a look at these cards, we theorize some decks, and we go ahead and test them and show you the before and after of what we are theorizing with the decks. Now, there are 4 cards releasing this week. This first video, we're going to focus specifically on the Season Pass Spider-Punk as well as Web Sling. So let's talk about them first, and we'll go from there, okay? So here we go. Spider-Punk is a 3/3. Ignore what that says. It's 3/3 because they've updated in the Season Pass video, and when the next client goes live, because that's how early this is, this recording, before we get it, because right now it's releasing in a couple of hours, it's a 3/3 that says you can move this once. When this moves to a location, steal 2 power from the highest power enemy there. Well, with that, what can we do? Well, we think Rocket and Groot, we think Nocturne, we think Nightmare, we think cards that can move once. Okay, relatively decent-ish abilities, but the total on this, with this being a 3/3 and it moves to a lane, that lane then has a power change total of 7 because it's stealing 2, so it becomes a 3/5 and then reduces 2 from the other side, so a total of 7 power impacting 1 lane. If it only moves once. This says specifically that you can move this once, but when this moves to a location, which means you can move it multiple times. Let's say you drop this down on a Zorn, which moves 3-cost cards when you play onto it. Well, that doesn't count as its move. It still has the ability to move once by itself. So you can get this to reproc multiple times. The big downside, which I'm very worried about only in release week, is Luke Cage is a very hard counter to this card. But we're gonna have to see if on launch, if my worry is something to actually impact the first week of this card's release. But like any Affliction card or any Steel card, it will age like fine wine. That is my prediction on it right off the bat. As for Web Sling, it's a skill card. We're getting a skill card called Web Sling on reveal, 1-cost skill. Next turn, you can move one of your cards away from here. Cheaper Madam Web, single time use Madam Web. The positive is that it's a 1-cost move something out of this lane card. The downside to this is it's a single cost card that then disappears and does nothing. Okay. Skills worry me. Unless if they have a massive helpful effect. Hunger did, because you could Joaquin Torres it. With this one, I don't believe that is to be the case. Similarly to when you put on a Moonstone, for example, on Madam Web, only 1 card can move out. So even if I were to try to get this to happen multiple times, I don't think it should. So I don't know how good this card is going to be, but I feel like it's going to find more homes than we anticipate. I expect it to actually end up being a very flexible card, and one of the skills that we actually use as a juke piece, right? Similarly to what Vision and Hellion do, which is create that indecision on the final turn. That last or undetermined movement of power is very much so what this card now enables for any card in your deck. So let's take a look at the decks that I have deck built for today. Let's first start with Spider-Punk. This is the deck I will be starting with today. It is the deck that I think holds the most promise for what Spider-Punk wants to organically do, while simultaneously protecting itself from other Spider-Punks because it allows it to run Luke Cage. So it is an Affliction Scream style hybrid deck. You've got 2 different play lines you can work with. You've got the Interference play line like Stegron and Polaris and Spider-Man, which allow cards to move across the board. And then you also have your own Affliction package like Anti-Venom to afflict yourself temporarily. Not afflict yourself, to reduce yourself temporarily, but then Luke Cage brings it all back together. But then when you put together the Hazmat and the Diamondback and the Luna Snow hitting their Ice Cube and all that, you've got a lot of cool stuff you can do and a lot of power you can move around. Literally, your own power with Spider-Punk and afflicting a card, or power that you can move on their end like Stegron. So I think it's a cool, fun idea. This is how I'm going to start. We're going to see what has to happen from there, though. On that same token, I wanted to take two different approaches at Affliction. So this is a variation of the deck from Cougar and Roram, BYU, and plopping Spider-Punk into it. This is their cook of the High Evolutionary Affliction package. And I really like this cook because Spider-Punk organically fits into it. 3 out of the 4 3-cost cards here can all afford to be dropped on turn 3. And for this deck in particular, that's very important. You want 3s to drop on 3. You want things to happen on 3 so you have a clean turn 4 of catching up all your little pieces like Grandmaster Scorpion, Hydra Bob, or you have your big Laufey or High Evolutionary to drop as well. I think this is a very smooth deck. It's an Affliction package that wants to have a free Abomination happen, or a super reduced one where your ideal turn 6 is Ajax plus a movement that allows Miles to be 1 and a free A-Bomb. And I think that this deck actually permits that to happen. Next up, I have Downstream Sludge. This is removing the High Evolutionary package and replacing it with Sam Wilson Batrick. I know. Why? Because you've got Spider-Punk. You've got cards that want to move in here, and these 3 packages alone, look, people forget how simple a 1/4 can be. But with all of the Spider-Punks that are going to be out on the board, I think Batrick is actually a great defensive piece. Not just Scream, but Batrick. You're going to see a lot of Spider-Punks and a lot of move decks. It's one of the stronger decks in the game. So let's get out a bunch of power for cheap and throw Zabu into the mix to get out your Laufey and your Anti-Venom for cheap as well. There's not a lot of Mobius on Mobius right now, so let's have some fun with that. Next up is Dump Stomper. This is a Hydra Stomper deck, which will get stronger by the end of the week. We just saw the OTA notes for Thursday that will go live, which will have Hydra Stomper going up to a 3/3. So the deck will get a little bit more power, but it's playing into the power of Zorn more than any other card. A very underplayed card, but I think is going to be a very relevant card because you're going to want to play Spider-Punk down onto Zorn and get a free extra movement that could steal power. I like that. I think that's really cheeky and a great way to also catch up on power. If you drop Zorn early, let them fill some lanes, and then go ahead and play Spider-Punk on like turn 5 to get 1 more movement on turn 6. Worst case scenario, you got the Red Wing package. Throw in Heimdall, throw in Galactus First Steps. You've got some easy cards that get some really strong power. And then because of all of that movement, let's reinforce into it. You've got a Human Torch, you've got a Kraven, you've got a Madam Web, you've got a Hydra Stomper and a Silk. So let all the movements drop and kick around and just ramp him up to being a very strong 312 or higher by the end of it. That's the direction we're going to go with Hydra Stomper. Now, for the last deck, I do have to shout out the card that will be focused in the following video, the Superior Spider-Man. Now, Superior Spider-Man Returns is a card that will be focused on more in the next video, but one deck does overlap in it, so you should know what it does. It's a 3/4. At the start of each turn, you get +1 energy if you have any cards with increased power in play. Okay. So a more consistent Hope Summers with less work, but a lower ceiling, because it's just, if you play it on curve, then you've got 5 on turn 4. So this isn't as high as a Wiccan. It's not as stackable as a Hope Summers, but it's a safe play to get 1 extra energy. And I think that there's going to be some strength on the turn 4 cards because of it. It's easy to get power early on. Turn 1, turn 2, you're playing things like Silver Sable, Adam Warlock. You know, there are cards that get green power, the Hunger, just organically. And I think that this card fits well into those shells. With that said, we go to the undead spiders. This is what it says. You have Aranya, you have the Hunger, you have Zombie Mr. Fantastic. You have 3 cards already that give you a 75% chance of getting something with green power already on before turn 3. More than a 75% chance. On your opening hand, it's a 75% chance. You have something that you can drop by turn 3 to get you green power. If you do, great, go Superior Spider-Man. If you don't, that's okay, play Spider-Punk. And then move Spider-Punk and get your green power as you play Superior Spider-Man on 4. But this feeds well into the Horde package because the Hunger obviously is dropping on down, and all you really need, let's be honest here, is Zombie Scarlet Witch, Zombie Giant Man, and the Hunger. But Zombie Scarlet Witch loves skills. It loves having these play it down and disappear cards. And I've had some luck with Aranya also in that same shell because it's going to move a card over and give it +1 power. So green power. Keeps the Zombie Scarlet Witch lane clear. And then you have the luxury of the Supergiant Negasonic Flex package. I love this built into this where you can play Supergiant on 4, Zombie Giant Man on 5, then Negasonic Teenage Warhead on 6 to blow up whatever is not revealed. Plus other cards like Hydra Bob, the Hunger, Web Sling. Drop it all onto Zombie Scarlet Witch, and then the Zombie Giant Man will reveal after turn 6. I think that there's some fun things that we can do with that. I'm not 100% sold, but I do think that there are different ways to explore that, and I think the skills package for Web Sling is something to look at. We will dive deeper into Web Sling and all of the decks that it can synergize with that are focusing on spells, like a Nicholas Scratch Agamotto style deck, right here, live, right now. Does the Horde package have enough in the skills package of Hunger, Web Sling, Merlin, Agamotto? Is this finally Nicholas Scratch's time to shine? I don't know. But with a affecting transition of such, let's fast forward some time here and find out. Well, it's much later, and we did a lot of testing, and I'm now 13 hours into a stream and realized, you know what? I'm going to call this one early. And I'll tell you why. Because it has to do specifically with Spider-Punk. Now, let me be clear. When I say early, I don't mean early, as in like it's early in the evening. I mean in the sense of I didn't finish all 6 decks of testing, but I did play all 6 decks of testing. And you'll see why I feel comfortable kind of going with it as I already have. So Spider-Punk, honestly, both playing against it and playing it, there's a lot of flexibility, a lot more flexibility with the card than I realized. I think this is a card you want to tech as a package, knowing that you have a safe way to move it at least one way, right? So for example, we see Miles Morales packages very often put with Sam Wilson, right? I think that Spider-Punk ends up in a place where you try to get it to move at least one more time. Because anytime I got Spider-Punk to move twice, I got more than the value, obviously, because you're going from a 3/3, ignore what that says, going from a 3/3 to now a total of 3/7 in value to a total of 3/11 in value. And that absolutely was felt. That was more than felt. The first 2 decks that we played, the Toxicity deck and the Cougar Roarum build, both did ridiculously well and confirmed for me that that these affliction, not negative, the affliction decks are really, really strong right now. And if you're playing Luke Cage, they're even stronger. You don't have to. This deck doesn't. But you could easily take out Red Guardian for Luke Cage if you really wanted to. Or take out Cassandra Nova for Luke Cage if you really wanted to. And it would work. But you typically don't want to do that because you're playing the Abomination line and yada, yada, yada. But you get the idea. When we went to the Red Wing build, it didn't feel consistent enough. And I think it's because I was so focused on making Spider-Punk or Human Torch do the thing that it just didn't. It was two incomplete plans not fully coming together. The Supergiant Zombie Undead Spiders list, that was good though. That was like really, really good. Like that might have been my favorite deck of the night. And then this thing with Batrick mixed with movement and Ajax, this was a no, okay? This was a straight up no. So let's take a look at the final results of how this worked out tonight. The Cougar deck, we went 14-6. Toxicity, we went 14-6. Again, also, please remember, take that with a grain of salt. It's the 70s, day one of the season. However, they climbed really quickly, really well. The second I started playing Luke Cage deck, right away, it was like autopilot mode. It felt very good, and Spider-Punk added to it, but didn't feel like it was detracting. Could that in this deck very well be Red Guardian? Yes, 100%. You don't need that card to make this deck run. But in this deck, it's a nice, flexible extra piece to help with the Miles Morales, and I enjoyed that. As for some of these affliction-y things, where we tried the Batrick Sam Wilson package being built in there, and then you've got move to also reduce Miles. As you see, it just straight up didn't really, get the oomph that it needed. And the Hydra Stomper deck it just wasn't enough power, nor enough strategy and activators to make the power justified. It was not doing the thing. The two game plans were too conflicting in this style of deck. There's something in there. There are pieces in there that worked. Like the whole Zorn Spider-Punk thing. That worked great. But not all of it. Absolutely not all of it. And then the big winner, Undead Spiders. This climbed me through the 80s. I got walled at the 90s and then said, you know what? Okay, I'm going to switch to the other deck. And I can already tell this deck is really interesting, but I'm making bad plays because I've been streaming for 13 hours. So I'm going to continue this one tomorrow. But the real question is, we got to try Web Sling and we got to try Spider-Punk. Those are the cards of tonight's good or garbage video. Are they good or garbage? I think Spider-Punk is good. Now, I'm always going to tell you, Season Pass is worth investing in. It's the best dollar value for the game in the game, hands down, a million times over. Resources to reward, ROI, it's just great. But as for the card itself, this is a card that will, and I definitely can see it now, it is a card that's going to age very well. As long as they leave it as a 3/3, taking away that 2 power, it's a total of 3/7 power, easily with a move mechanic built in there. This is going to be a package style card. This is a card that's going to be great for Miles Morales packages just as much as we see Sam Wilson. I could see this being in this mid-rangey world of kind of like where we see Black Bolt Stature. It's the 5+1 meta. I think Spider-Punk very much so helps the 5+1 because you get the Miles Morales, and it's more of a body and an easier thing to happen, in my opinion, than the Sam Wilson lines or Nightcrawler or Jeff or any of the, you get the idea, right? I think that it's a very strong card right now, and it will get even better. However, Web Sling surprised me. Web Sling, I think, might be slept on a little bit as a 1-cost skill. Now, in the decks that are going to be able to play it repeatedly, like Zombie Scarlet Witch style decks, where you just play it, move something off, clear the lane, like that is a natural synergy and works great. Like really, really great. But even when you play it and then don't move anything, that confusion moment for the opponent is definitely a huge advantage. It really, really is. And I think that Web Sling is going to find more plug and play ability over time than Spider-Punk will. And I'm not coping on that one. I really believe that the flexibility of a 1-cost move something out of a lane and the confusion that comes from that from the opponent's side is what makes this card very strong in all game modes. So keep an eye out on Web Sling. I expect it to be very good, and I expect it to continue on. I think both of them are safely in the good rating. Neither are garbage. We briefly got to try the Superior Spider-Man, and we didn't get to try Man-Thing this evening, but tomorrow's video and stream will focus on those two exclusively. So that's good or garbage. Both cards are good. There's your punchline. Appreciate y'all. If you got it this far in the video, by the way, chances are you also haven't subscribed, because 2/3 of the people who watch these videos haven't subscribed. I really appreciate it. It helps YouTube get tricked into saying, yo, more people should come take a look at this, and that's what we want. We want to grow the guest list, and your help with your likes and your subscriptions absolutely make that happen. So thank you so much, everyone. I'll see you next time.